Final update. At my mom's birthday, I walked in with a handwritten letter for my kids in a small gift box. My sister rolled her eyes and said, "You always have to be the emotional one." My mom just said, "Set it down and sit over there." I nodded, set it down, and left. 20 minutes later, my brother texted, "Why did her card get declined at dinner?" An hour later, my dad was banging on my door. I opened it and saw. She didn't say hello. She didn't ask how I was. She said, "If you're choosing this path, you and your children are no longer a part of this family. You walked away. We didn't push you." I said, "Okay." Then she added something else. Something so sharp it didn't even register until I hung up. "We'll be revising things legally. From this moment forward, we recognize only Melanie's children. They are our grandchildren. The rest is finished." I didn't reply. I walked into the living room where Evan and Nora were playing a board game on the floor. I sat down with them, trying to smile, but they noticed something was off. Evan asked if we were going to Grandma's again soon. Nora said she wanted to show Grandma her new picture of a dog wearing sunglasses. I didn't know what to say. I just pulled them close. Nora started crying first. Evan followed after, trying to hold it in. I didn't have answers, just arms to wrap around them and a promise I silently made to myself right there on the floor: that door is closed for good. After that call, I didn't expect to hear from any of them again. Not soon, not ever. I figured they'd hold to what my mom said, that we were done, cut out. But when you're dealing with people who only see value in others when they need something, they never really let you go. Not completely. 3 days passed without a word. Then suddenly an email arrived from my dad. Subject line, regarding the estate. I almost laughed. Inside it was a polite, sterile message about updating wills and formalizing family boundaries. It said that moving forward, Melanie and her children would be the primary beneficiaries. There would be no future provisions for unengaged descendants. I sat back and stared at it. That word unengaged, like we were a charity they decided to stop sponsoring. I didn't reply. There was nothing to say. I thought that would be it. But the real moment, the one that sealed everything, came a week later at a local community event, a charity dinner at Nora's school. I didn't know they'd be there. I hadn't even considered it. I was standing with Evan, helping him with one of the raffle tickets, when I heard Melanie's voice behind me. "There he is. Didn't know they let outsiders in tonight." I turned. She was with Mom and Dad, all dressed up like they were royalty. Her kids were running wild nearby, grabbing cupcakes off the table without asking. My mom didn't even look at me. My dad nodded like we were strangers. Then he turned to someone next to him, another parent I barely knew, and said, "These are our grandchildren," motioning to Melanie's boys. "They're the ones that matter to us." He said it casually, like it was just a thing people say. Evan froze. He heard it. I could tell from the way his shoulders tensed. Nora had her arms around my leg and was staring up at my mom, waiting, hoping, but no one acknowledged her. Nothing. I didn't make a scene. I didn't walk over or say anything back. I just crouched down, told them we were leaving, and walked them out to the car. Halfway home, Nora whispered, "Did we do something wrong?" I shook my head. Said, "No. None of this was about them." But when we got home, Evan went straight to his room. Didn't say a word for the rest of the night. That was when I knew I couldn't keep hoping they'd change. Not for me. Not for my kids. Not even by accident. The next morning, I sent an email, short, no emotion, no second chances. To be clear, I will not be contributing to the cafe. I will not be revisiting any part of the family business, and I no longer wish to be included in future family matters of any kind. Consider this permanent. I didn't wait for replies. I didn't expect any. And I finally felt free. Not happy. Not relieved, but free. And that was enough. Weeks passed. I stayed quiet. They did too, for a while. I focused on Evan and Nora, who slowly began to stop asking about Grandma and Grandpa. Their drawings changed. The people in them got fewer. Sometimes it was just the three of us now. Sometimes just them and a big sun in the sky. Nothing else. Then one afternoon, I got an envelope in the mail. No return address. Handwritten. I opened it expecting more bitterness or some half-hearted legal threat. Inside was a photo, a printed photo. It was a staged shot of Melanie, her kids, and my parents sitting in front of what looked like a storefront with a "coming soon," the Garden Cafe sign in the window. My mom's handwriting was scrolled on the back. "Sometimes you have to build your dream without the ones who walk away." They didn't have the money. I knew that. I had seen the numbers, the quotes, the rent costs. It wasn't possible unless they found someone else. I made a few quiet calls, nothing formal, just conversations with a few local vendors and contractors I used to work with. One of them, a general contractor named Greg, called me back. "Yeah, they're scrambling," he said. "Melanie told me someone from out of town is backing the whole thing." Silent partner. But here's the kicker, they want it open in 6 weeks. It's not even zone right. No permits filed. It's all talk right now. Something wasn't adding up. If they had real money behind them, they wouldn't be pushing so fast, cutting corners. They were trying to make it look like something was happening, probably for appearances. Maybe to pull someone in, or maybe to lure me back in. I kept it to myself, watched from a distance as they put up more signs, posters on social media, a countdown. Then Linda called again. "You're not going to believe this," she said. "Melanie's been telling people you're still involved, that you're just taking a break from the family, but planning to return in time for the grand opening." I didn't say a word, Alex. I think they're counting on the idea that you'll cave. They're using your name in quiet conversations with investors, telling people your support is still coming. That's how they got this far. It all made sense now. They never accepted that I was gone. Not really. They just pretended to buy time to spin a version of the story that kept them relevant. And now they were lying in my name to keep the whole thing afloat. I hung up the phone, walked outside, and stood in the driveway for a long time. Then I made a decision. The next morning, I contacted a lawyer, a good one. Not for anything dramatic, but to formally remove my name from any lingering legal or business affiliations tied to the family, every document, every LLC, every database. My lawyer moved quickly. Within 2 days, I had paperwork proving I was legally severed from every shared asset or interest with them. I didn't say a word to the family. Instead, I sent a single email to the local paper, an interview request about entrepreneurship and walking away from toxic partnerships. I didn't name names. I didn't even mention the cafe, but the message was clear to anyone who knew. A week later, the article ran. My face, my story, my voice, quiet, clean, factual. I never heard from them again. But I didn't need to, because I knew the one thing they feared more than losing me was losing the illusion that they still had me. 3 months later, I got a message from Linda again. Simple and short, it's over. I didn't ask what she meant. I already had an idea. Still, I drove past the cafe out of curiosity. The windows were papered over, the sign gone. The coming soon banner was curled at the edges, half torn, flapping in the breeze. No construction, no permits posted, no activity. It had never opened. Not even close. Later that day, I heard through a former vendor that their silent investor had backed out. Apparently, after the article came out, the one where I didn't name names, but made it clear I was distancing myself from something, the investor asked questions, real ones, and the answers didn't hold up. There were whispers of unpaid deposits, a lawsuit from a contractor, and something about financial misrepresentation. I didn't follow it too closely. I didn't need to. Then, out of nowhere, I got an email from my dad. One line, "You win." That was it. I stared at it for a long time. There was no satisfaction in it. No revenge fantasy coming true, just proof that I was never the problem. I replied with one word, "Goodbye." I deleted the thread after sending it. A week later, I took Evan and Nora to a small town on the coast for the weekend. We stayed in a rental with a fire pit and ate way too much seafood. One night, Evan sat next to me, poking at a marshmallow over the flames. "Are we ever going to see them again?" he asked. I looked at the fire, then at him. "No," I said. "And that's okay," he nodded. "Okay." Nora leaned against me and fell asleep like that. And I realized that sometimes the best endings are quiet. No fireworks, no screaming, just a door closed for good. And the peace that finally comes when you stop hoping it'll open again.